And I wanted to just share my story on just feeling like I had to be super mom and, you know, being able to then connect in with who I really am at my core. Um, so a couple years ago, maybe more than that. Yeah, I think it was more than that now. I think really started when I became a mom. So there was all this pressure on having to do it all. And, I think something shifts when you become a mom in certain people, and you just feel like this world of responsibility on your shoulders, right? Like you're a mom now, and you've got to take care of your home, you've got to take care of this new baby, and there's so much pressure. And I think society just paints this picture that you've got to do and be it all for everybody, otherwise, you're a failure. And, times just aren't how they used to be. Like a lot of moms have to work, and, we still feel that we have to work full time and be the sole provider for taking care of everything around the house and, making sure your kids are fed and that you don't screw them up. And there's just so much pressure on ourselves. And that's where I found myself, was just doing everything, like everything. And I wouldn't let people help me. I was just, working really long days and coming home and trying to be really good in the gym, trying to be really strong and compete in powerlifting, and trying to be the best mom, um and take care of my daughter and everything she needed, and feed my family, cook. I would spend an entire weekend day meal prepping and, doing everything around the house. And it just led to massive burnout over and over and over and over again. And I couldn't understand why I kept coming to this place. And, from an outsider's perspective, I would hear all the time, like, you're super mom, you just do it all. Like, I wish I could be more like you. But inside, I was dying. I just felt like I was living this life to serve everybody except myself. And then thinking of even taking any time for myself felt like really selfish. And I just felt like I couldn't do it. There was just so much block, and I couldn't think straight. And, I was just this walking stress ball, just overwhelmed. Like thinking, like, when you're in that place where you're overwhelmed, and then you think about something that you need to do, and you're just so overwhelmed that, like, the thought of doing something else just brought on so much more, like, stress and anxiety. And you're like, oh my God, my plate is so full. Like, I don't have room for anything else. And, like, you're just trying to figure out how you can keep adding more onto that plate. And just like what a crazy predicament that is. So um I finally was like, you know what, this isn't working, and I had to find a better way to live. And I think, for a lot of us, when COVID hit, we were all just stuck in our homes and had this great uncertainty. I had to really be present with myself. And that was so hard because I was somebody where I couldn't stay still. And looking back in hindsight, I realized I was keeping myself distracted from a lot of things that were going inside that I didn't want to deal with. So I was keeping myself busy all the time. And when COVID hit and we had to be still, I didn't know what to do. And it was so hard. And I remember, like, all this stuff just coming up, and I didn't know what to do with it. Like, I didn't know how to process these emotions that I was feeling, and this just like unhappiness. And from the outside, it was like, how could you? I felt guilty for not being happy, like, you have this family, you have this home, like, you have this ideal life from the outside, like a really good job. And, I was just so unhappy. And I could stack all of these successes. Like, I was not short on success. I was winning almost every competition I went to for powerlifting. I was doing it all, but I was so unfulfilled inside. And I relate a lot of that to just not being true to myself, like not having a life for myself in the midst of being a mom and having all this other responsibility. So, to make a long story short, I had to really just go internally and start listening to my intuition, start asking myself these questions like, what do I need right now? And for me, like that was a huge thing, and it was I didn't know how to check in with myself. Like I would keep going to the point of burnout, and then I would get sick, and then that was my way of slowing down. Was I would work until like I physically couldn't anymore and had tons and tons and tons of health issues because of that. So just even checking in with myself, what do I need right now? Like what am I feeling was really the start of my own transformation. And listening to that was the second part. So really just dialing into my intuition. And you know what, there's a day where there was many days actually where the message was you need to rest. And so going from somebody that was like this doer to you need to rest, I was like, oh my God, I can't. Like, there's so much stuff to do. But the more you just sit and pause and get in tune with that intuition and that inner self, the easier it gets. And you do need to give yourself permission to have those days to rest, because a lot of times that's when these messages come in, like what do you want to do with your life? And you can't receive if you're constantly doing. So when are you going to get to the point where you start to have a life for yourself? You start to do these things that they keep coming up. Like, you want to change careers, or you want to start that new hobby, or you really want to start that business, or you have this dream, but you keep telling yourself there's too much going on in your world in order to do it. Well, you have to create space for it. And if you think about your life as like a cup. I like to talk about this with my clients of with stress. Okay, so like if your capacity for stress is a cup, you have physical stress, so you pour a little bit of water in the cup for physical stress, and you have emotional stress. Like we all have emotional stress, right? From our past and from, just different things that happen. So you fill up that cup a little bit more with that emotional stress. And then you've got like maybe work stress. So you add some more water to that cup for your work stress. And then maybe you have some relational stress. You add a little bit more to that. So if you get where I'm going, like this cup keeps filling up and up and up with all the stress. And it's so easy. Like you listen to the news, bam, like here's some more water for that cup. And there's so many stressors. And our cup is filling, 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 filling with all this stress. And we're not taking the time because we're busy distracting ourselves from how stressed we are to start pouring some of that out and creating space for something new to come in. So that is something that I've really focused on over the last couple years, is how to create space. And man, the transformation has been unreal with being present with myself, being more present at home. My relationships have improved. Um, just it even affected like our finances, going from massive amounts to debt where we're like, oh my God, I don't know how we're going to get by. Like our credit cards are maxed out and we've got to pay this bill. What are we going to do? To now having no credit card debt. And it all starts with yourself. So if anything, your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. And that is so true. If your life is in chaos, you're probably feeling a lot of chaos on the inside. So I know a lot of times we're like, okay, yeah, that's great. I know where I want to go and I know where I'm at, but how do I get there? And that dialing in and listening to your intuition really helps you master that middle ground. And, I like to think of all of these challenges as teachers. What is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? But at some time, you just need to take action and you need to make a decision. And making a decision is an action in itself of, I'm not going to live like this anymore. Like, this is it. I've spent enough time in pain. I've spent enough time doing things that I don't want to do, not having a life for myself, not feeling the way I want to feel. Because if we really get down to it, we think we want things, but really what we want is to feel a certain way. So, in the midst of whatever mess you're going through, you can still tap in to that intuition, to your inner self, and find peace and find joy and find clarity that you need to get to where you want to go. Because when you're in the middle of your storm, you just feel like everything is clouded, like you can't even think straight because you're so busy. So, if you can start to just check in, what do I need? How am I feeling? What do I need to do? Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's just being present or letting yourself process some sort of emotion that you've been denying because you don't want to feel sad. When you let that move through you, there's greater clarity. When you release something, there's greater clarity. And all these things add up to more space for yourself to have that change that you so desperately want and deserve and can absolutely have. But you just need to create that space. So, I do have some more tips on helping you get through this, and that's something I wanted to start just sharing more content on is how to get from this burnout doing excessively, everything falls on my shoulders, I can't rest, yada yada. You know the story if you felt similar, to then creating that space and that freedom to have that life you want and to feel the way that you want to feel, which all of us want: more love, peace, abundance, freedom to do the things that we want to do. Like, this is your life. You can make it whatever you want it to, but you have to clear that space first. So if you're just feeling really lost and really burned out and you don't even know where to start, I will post a link to my calendar in the comments and we can book a free 20 to 30 minute just clarity session helping you discover, like, what is that thing holding you back? What is that story that you keep telling yourself that's keeping you stuck in this busy, burnt out state? And then from there, what actions you can take to then get out of that and start to lift the veil, lift the veil, lift the veil, gain that vision and where you want to go. So, anyway, thanks so much for listening today. That's been on my heart for a while, and I want to change the narrative around moms and being busy all the time and not having a life for ourselves and being able to create that life of freedom and abundance and just learning to flow with life, which I think we all want. Like, we know we have responsibilities, but getting into that flow and having a life where things just don't feel so hard anymore. So I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.